welcome to the Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, certified life, weight, and career coach. Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, can I just say I just looked out my window and I see somebody hang gliding. I think that's what they call it. I was just noticing how beautiful, beautiful, beautiful the sky looks. There is not one cloud. The trees are just gorgeous, all different colors. And yeah, I just looked out my window as I went to record this and I'm like, oh, look at the hang glider who gets to see this from above. I can only imagine what his view looks like right now. And it's funny because today's topic is kind of about seasons and leaves shedding and all of that good stuff. So it was perfect timing. But yeah, so anyway, how are you guys? Again, it's such a beautiful day here. And the last few days, I've really been, or maybe probably the last couple weeks, I've really been noticing the beauty of fall. Like the beautiful trees, the amazing colors. And I'm up here in Massachusetts and New England, and we're just so fortunate to have such beautiful foliage this time of year. But it really got me thinking this morning as I was sitting outside, and I was having my tea and thinking about the different seasons. Because I was thinking about how winter is approaching, and I am somebody who loves and really needs a lot of sunlight. It just, for my mental well-being. So as I was thinking about it, I'm like, all right, winter's coming. And it got me thinking about how, we experience these different seasons, but also as humans, we experience our own seasons. Sometimes we're full of warm, bright, positive energy and things are growing and they're flowing. And then sometimes things don't seem so bright and cheery. And sometimes things seem dark and cold in our lives. And with fall being here and watching the leaves start to fall, I started thinking about how as humans, and we need to start shedding our leaves because now is the perfect time to really start to let go of what is not serving us, right? And by that, I mean, a lot of times we'll hold on to whether it's a toxic relationship, maybe it's a job that we're not happy with, some bad habits, whatever it is, we hold on to them and they actually suck our energy. And one of the reasons that trees release their leaves is to conserve their energy for the winter, because keeping the leaves takes a lot of energy for the tree. So in order for the tree to survive, it literally releases its leaves. And I'm putting on this workshop in a couple weeks where we're going to work through helping people shed things that are not serving them anymore. If you're local, I would love to have you. It's October 29th from 12 to 1:30 in the afternoon down at the Tranquility Center in Plymouth. There will be a link in the show notes. But it got me thinking about where I'm at, like what can I let go of right now that is not serving me. It made me think about all the different seasons I've gone through in, the course of 46 years, or maybe not the first few because I don't really remember those. But yeah, and just, I just thought it would be a really cool show to talk about some of the seasons that I've experienced. Maybe you've experienced some similar ones, and to really start to get you to think like, where are you and what can you release over the next few weeks as we go into winter? As if you're in this part of the world where it does get like really dark and it gets cold, and a lot of times I know for me, I used to feel really guilty if I was like, I want to kind of call it like hibernating, if you will, but like staying inside and not really doing as much as I would do in like the spring or the summer. And I'd feel guilty about that. And I think back into like those times when I did feel guilty, and I'm like, no, like this is what we're supposed to do. This is kind of part of nature. Like it's okay in the winter to snuggle up and stay in and conserve our energy, right? But anywho, so one of the things that I am working on releasing now, and I never realized just how much I did this to myself, but it's judgment. And I'm going to do a whole podcast on judgment because I think it's something, just as humans, we all judge. We judge ourselves, we judge each other, we judge everything. And I'm reading a really cool book and doing some really great exercises to release a lot of that judgment. And the book is by Gabrielle Bernstein. It's called Judgment Detox. And I started the detox, this book, during the detox that I talked about in my last couple podcasts. And what's kind of cool about that, I loved the timing of it because one, it makes me think about, okay, if I had to give up all these different things, like once I'm done, are some of those things that are now ready to be off my plate? Like, I think about coffee. I haven't had coffee now in over a month. But anyway, not talking about that detox, but it was just a cool timing of, I'm not doing the sugar, I'm not doing the gluten, I'm not doing the dairy, I'm not doing, I forget what else, lots of things. I did do a little bit of the alcohol even when I wasn't supposed to, but that's okay. But that's kind of where the judgment comes in. So I realized just how much I judge myself. And I've been learning, a lot of grace over the last couple weeks. And when I think about how often we may judge ourselves and judge others, it doesn't feel good. So one of the leaves, if you want to call it, that I am looking to shed is judgment. And one of them is around my routine. So back when I worked in corporate, I have not worked for corporate for 5 years now. It was a very rigid routine. Like I would get up, I would typically go to the gym around 5:30, 6 a.m. I'd go to work, I'd come home, and it was very structured. And I was always busy. And it was a good thing. That's what I needed at the time. And once that energy just started to not feel right is when I realized like I had to move on and I had to shed some of what my life was like at that time. But how that comes into my judgment is when I left corporate and I didn't have structure and it's just me creating my own schedule, which I love to do. There's also a sense of judging myself if I don't think I'm, quote, working enough or working hard. And I realized that because I would get anxious if I didn't have a lot of meetings or if I wasn't down at the Tranquility Center or if I wasn't recording a podcast. And I mean, I went months without recording a podcast. It's just because it wasn't the right time, but there was a lot of judgment behind that. There was a lot of judgment like, well, you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that and you shouldn't be going to lunch so much and you really should be working. And after a while, I'm like, holy shit, like this has to stop. I left a crazy busy schedule to make my own schedule for a reason. And I would never go back to working 60 hours a week. It's just not where I'm at right now. I guess you never say never. But in thinking of that, it was very emotionally draining. And this has gone on now for years. And it hasn't been until recently where I'm like, I need to let go of this judgment of what I think my schedule should look like. And I was working with my own business coach last week. And I was telling her how I'll put on workshops and I'll set the time for like an evening workshop, maybe a few times a month. And I realized like my productive time, like where my energy is best served is mornings and afternoons. And I was putting these workshops together in the evening and I just didn't feel, I loved the idea of the workshop. I was looking forward to always coaching in them. But I realized like the timing for me was really kind of sucking my energy out because I didn't want to be out working, until 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And when I realized like, oh my God, I don't have to do that. Like if I want to put on a workshop, there are going to be people who can come in the morning. There are going to be people who can come in the afternoon. But I was so stuck in judgment and the shoulds of, well, you really should do an evening because there's people that work in the afternoon, like all day and in the mornings, and they won't be able to come. And when I realized, like, I don't have to do anything. Like, this is my life. This is my schedule. I'm not going to judge myself for it. It was like this just sigh of relief. I'm like, oh, like I'm thinking about it now and like my whole body just changed. So it just got me thinking of all the different areas of where I'm judging myself around my business and around my schedule. And one of them is working out. And, I think back to, I used to work out probably 3 or 4 times a week at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that served me then. Then post COVID and post corporate, I would go to the gym for a 9 o'clock class. And I did that pretty consistently for probably about, a year and a half. And then for whatever reason, I don't remember how or when it stopped, but it just didn't fit my life at the time. I think it was because I was open in the center and there were some classes in the morning and I thought I had to go and I had to, be there for the new teachers. And part of me had to be there from a, business perspective. But I found myself feeling guilty for not going to those classes. And really what my body and my brain wanted was just walking. And this was, again, like something I talked through with my coach. As a coach, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate the coaches that I have had in my life. Because I always joke, I'm like, I think everybody needs a coach, but whatever. But yeah, so what my body was craving for a while now has just been going out and walking. Because when I go out and I walk, and I typically will listen to a podcast or I'll listen to a book, or I get so inspired. I get inspired for so many different reasons. Even if it's, just a 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk, it doesn't have to be crazy. It's funny because I think about that now and I think about judgment that I had around that. Like, oh, you really only walked 20 minutes. It's like, good Lord. So, anywho, but yeah, so I love walking now and I am trying to get back into more strength training. But that was part of my schedule where I was judging myself a lot and making myself feel bad for not going to the gym more. And when we feel bad or we feel guilty or we feel shame, how do you think we show up? Like for me, I was just making myself feel bad. It wasn't making me get to the gym. Like I didn't feel inspired, that's for sure. Because our feelings lead to our actions or inactions, which ultimately give us the results that we get. I've talked about that a bunch. So I want you to kind of just think about like what area of your life might feel like it's just draining, like that there's an energy suck or something isn't aligning right. Now is the time as we head into winter, and we enjoy the rest of this beautiful fall, but like, what can you release? What can you get rid of? Because if you think about, the whole process of seasons like fall, winter, spring, summer, if you start to think about and kind of plant your seeds, if you will, and shed this whatever negative energy or anything that's kind of holding you back. It could be a limiting belief that is keeping you stuck. Again, it could be a relationship that you're holding on to. It doesn't have to be, a partner per se. It could be, a friend or a coworker or something that is just doesn't feel right or doesn't feel aligned with where you're at right now. The more you hold on to it, with like your leaves, it's going to suck your energy out. So take some time and really think about like what area of your life doesn't feel aligned. Where do you feel stuck, or are you judging yourself? And I always say, I love journaling. It feels good to me. A lot of people tell me that, journaling is scary, if you will, because they're like, I don't know what to write. And if you are looking for a really good journal, there is one on Amazon that I published a couple years ago. It's called Today's Going to Be a Great Day. It actually has prompts on what to start to journal about and what you can be grateful for and anything. But there's another plug. I've already talked to you about coaching and now my my journal. But I encourage you just to start to write down like some of the areas that you're not happy with, that don't feel aligned with just where you want your energy to be. Because if you start to just kind of write that stuff down and bring it to the forefront, that's when you can start to release some of this stuff. I cannot wait to do it with some folks in a couple weeks here at the center. There's some really cool tools we'll be using. So I do highly recommend it if you are in the area to come check it out, because it's our seasons that we go through as humans. And as we enter another season, like winter, in a couple months, what's today? Yeah, a couple months here. Now's the time to start letting go of stuff so that you can get ready for your spring, get ready for your next year and start to plant those seeds so that when the time comes, they're going to grow and into something beautiful, something more energetic, something that brings you or makes you feel more alive. Because on the other side of shedding these leaves as humans that we have is something just beautiful and more exciting, new adventures, new routines, and it's all good. It is all good, my friends. So that's what I got for you today. Wherever and whenever you are listening to this, I hope you have an amazing day. And if nobody's told you in a while, you rock. Bye.